Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and welcome back for another weekly edition of Z Real Estate's discussion on real estate with special attention this week, investing. Real estate investing, how to do it, what to do, what not to do, how to make money, what to look for, and what to avoid. Okay, so first off, let's talk about the different strategies out there. So, when you're investing in real estate, you can do what I'm sure is probably the most common, the most familiar, and the one that everybody's thinking of right now, the flip, right? That's what everybody does. That's what everybody thinks about doing. That's what everybody wants to do. So, I'm not really going to comment on the merit of one strategy versus another, although I will tell you I will flip a property in the absence of all other viable options. In other words, there's a lot of other more preferable options that I'd rather do than flip. Now, flipping is a great strategy if you don't have an income. You have to flip. If you don't have an income and you flip a property and you make some money, what does that mean? It means you will not be able to buy another property without using that money. Now, if that's your source of income and that's your job, meaning you're a professional flipper, you will be unable to continue the machine moving unless you flip them. Now, if you have a job, whatever it is, and you're very successful and you're making a very good income stream, recommend against flipping. Buying and holding is generally much more lucrative in the long run because you have this inverse relationship between the tenants now paying down your principal and paying off your mortgage while the home, in theory, is also appreciating. So that relationship will work wonders, and you'd be surprised by how much more effective it is than your standard 401k or way above and beyond the normal bank performance or even a CD. So when you're fixing and flipping, you want to make sure that you've accounted for all expenses, not just the expenses going in, but also the expenses going out. Many of the expenses that you have going in will be doubled up going out. Title escrow, you're going to have title escrow going out. You probably won't have a commission going in, but you probably will going out. And please don't say you're going to sell yourself. I'm a licensed broker and I pay a 6% commission when I sell one of my own properties. Why? Because that's just a smart thing to do. So to try to sell it without a commission is shooting yourself in the foot. Pony up, pay the 6%, and sell your house for top dollar. If it was that easy to sell it for top dollar, realtors would not be in business. Realtors would not be making money. Okay? We're here for a reason. Trust us. Now, that being said, there's a variety of different problems with the fix and flip right now, which is why I prefer other options. Principally is the fact that because the market has become so tight and inventory has become so tight, you have these investment groups, hedge funds, companies, LLCs, corporations that are professional investment entities, professional flippers that have honed this down to a science, so much so that detail and meticulous detail to attention has now given them the ability to operate on a 5% profit margin. How does this make sense? Because they concentrate in volume, and they'll do 30 or 40 flips a week. At 5%, that makes sense, and that's good money. But 5% to the average investor, that's a commission. Who's going to risk their time, effort, resources, and money to make 5%? That's crazy. Which is why it's very, very hard to compete in the flipping game nowadays when you're up against professional entities that do this for a living and can operate all the way down to a 5% margin. So, if you have the ability to generate revenue doing anything other than real estate, or even if it is real estate, for example, you're a realtor and you're making commissions, do that and buy some properties. And when you buy the properties, get a good loan on it, good financing, not hard money, good financing, and rent it out. Keep it. That's all you got to do. That's the secret. Just buy it and hold it. So, generally, in order to continue acquiring, you're going to need some income coming in, which is why it might be a good idea, if you don't have income coming in, to flip one here and there, so you can free up some, available cash reserves to continue, buying. Anyway, there's the buy and hold, there's the fix and flip, and then there's a light rehab and full rehab. Okay, so the light rehab is one of the things that I like to do, which is, let's say, for example, it costs 30 grand to rehab a property. Instead of putting in 30 grand, you put in 5. And instead of selling it for 220 after repaired value, you sell it for 189 investor special in hopes of finding another investor that looks at it as a great deal and let him do all the work. Now, naturally, his profit margin has been truncated as a result of the need for you to now have a profit margin. So you've squeezed your profit out, which naturally curbs the amount of profit he can possibly make, without holding it and allowing for appreciation to broaden the margin a little bit. But short of that, the odds of finding another investor to take over and handle the risk, especially nowadays, is pretty high. Ironically, they're actually a dime a dozen, and you'd be surprised by how many of them will be willing to jump in and take over your headache. Why do I say this? A couple reasons. One, investors out there seem to have this notion of 20 grand. That's the magic number, 20 grand. What does that mean? It means that regardless of how badly a property, how poor a condition the property is in, most investors seem to have this number of 20 grand, meaning any house can be rehabbed for, yep, you guessed it, 20 grand. Now, generally, that's not the case, and very few, situations does that actually apply. So just to kind of give you some realistic numbers about prices, a 2,000 square foot home with 15 windows could very easily cost $7,000 or $8,000 just in windows, and for exterior and interior paint, $8,000 or $9,000 right there. Now you're looking at close to $20,000 for windows and paint only. What about flooring and cabinets and kitchen countertops and fixtures and carpet and landscaping? And is 80 grand outrageous? No. Could be very reasonable for some situations. So being able to acknowledge the fact that a lot of investors think it can be done for 20, if you happen to be one that thinks that and buys one thinking, oh crap, this is going to take 50, recommend against doing that. The odds of being able to find somebody else that made the same mistake made the same mistake that you did is very high. So instead of sucking it up and ponying up the 50 grand to try to make 4 or 5 grand, spend a couple $1,000s and listen for 20 grand more. That's a light rehab job. I guarantee you. You'll find some other sucker to take over your headache. And if not, call me. I'll find them for you. My name is Jonathan Zuckerman. I own Z Real Estate, and I find cash buyers. I got a whole host of them, and I got a bunch of great REO properties for sale, along with a lot of really great standard sales and commercial office buildings as well. So that's it this week, folks. If you have any questions, you can always reach me, 909-559-5275. Office number 909-999-6888. And of course, we can always be found at zrealestate.net, at zrealestate.net Instagram, and most importantly, Z Property Management. Don't forget about them. zpropertymanagement.net. Have a great day, everybody, and until next week, I bid you adieu.